people who miss. Okay, so you guys have your name. You're gonna put your class hour here, and then we're gonna work through this together, okay? So if we read our directions, we're going to shade our value scale from lightest to darkest. 0 is blank paper, okay? 10 is the darkest value that you can possibly achieve. Now you also want to make sure that your pencil is nice and sharp. Remember how we talked about that with Zentangle, so you can take a moment to sharpen your pencil. You have a pencil sharpener in your supply pack. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by shading the number 1 box, and then we're going to move to 10, and then we're going to go 2, 9, 3, 8, so on and so forth. Okay? So basically what we're doing to practice value with the pencil, you're literally just practicing different pressures, using different pressure on your pencil. For our really light shades, you're going to hold your pencil a little differently than normal. You're going to hold it like this. You're going to hold it towards the back end. And I hold the eraser, or I kind of set the eraser on this part of my hand, just letting it rest, okay? And by doing that, you don't exert a lot of pressure on your pencil, which is what you want for light, okay? So for my number 1 box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just set it on top of the paper, and I'm going to barely touch it to the paper surface, and I'm going to run my pencil back and forth in that square. Yes, you'll just need to clean up as you go, which is what I'll be doing as well. Okay, so barely. All right, so that's it. That's a number 1. You can see barely that it is barely darker than a 0. That's what you need to do. Okay, now I'm gonna switch over to my 10 box. Without breaking my pencil lead, I'm going to push as hard as I can with my pencil to get my darkest value. Now I'm changing how I hold my pencil from here for my light value all the way to here for my dark value. So I'm choking up closer to the lead part. Okay, so without breaking your pencil lead, you're going to push as hard as you can in the 10, and also without ripping through your paper, to get your darkest value that you can possibly get. Okay? Don't go through your paper. Oh, see, there went the lead on my pencil. So gotta sharpen. Oh, that broke again. Not a very good pencil. Okay, you guys keep working on it while I'm sharpening. Okay, here we go. I'm almost done. All right, so using really heavy pressure to get this as dark as I can possibly get it. Okay. All right, there we go. Number 10. And I'm also going to clean it up before I move on. So if you guys go outside your boxes, I want you to clean them up. Just keep practicing that. Okay, now I'm going to bounce over to number 2. I'm going to change the pencil, how I hold it again, by going towards the end of the pencil. And I'm going to just let it gently lay on the paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and start filling it in. Now I'm going to use very little pressure, similar to number 1. So I'm going to get a number 1 value in there, and then I'm going to go over and just add another layer to make it just slightly darker than 1. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to clean up as I go. Okay, now I'm going to go back to number 9. Now for number 9, I don't want to press as hard as I can because it's hard to go lighter when you've already pressed really dark. So I'm going to use kind of a medium amount of pressure. So it should look a lot lighter than 10. And then I'm just going to build up layers of graphite until I get the desired value that I want. So it really should just look one step lighter than your 10. Here I'm about 4 steps lighter. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep. Now, you guys too, some of you are shading like this, like straight up and down, and that's fine. To get a better coverage, you can move your pencil in circles close together like that, kind of like when we made tornadoes in elementary school. Okay, so that's kind of what I'll start doing here on my 9 square, is I'll kind of start moving my pencil around in a circle. Kind of like a tornado, yep. Hold that thought. Hello. Hey. Riley. Tatum? You called about Tatum. Okay, sorry. Bye. Okay. All right, so my 9 is still too light. So I'm still kind of just working on layers to get it to where it's only 1 step lighter than 10. And I can always come back and adjust later if I need to. Okay? Okay, I'm going to stop right about there. Probably up on the screen, it looks pretty similar to you guys. But there is a difference for... Maybe that helps a little bit. I don't know. Okay. And it might look really shiny. Is it really shiny? Okay, so for you guys, it looks pretty similar, but it is really, it's 1 step down. Okay, I'm gonna come back over to number 3. I'm gonna change how I hold my pencil again by holding it towards the back end. And again, I wanna start really light. So I wanna start by using the light pressure that I used for number 1. And then I'm just gonna build up layers until I get it darker. So for number 3, you want it 1 step darker than 2, and you want it 2 steps, visually 2 steps darker than 1. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because I'm gonna get it too dark if I keep going. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. Now I'm gonna move back over to 8. And I'm just going to start with kind of like a medium pressure, about the pressure that you use to write your name on papers. And I'm just going to start there first. Am I moving too fast? No. Okay, some of you say yes, some of you say no. So if you understand the concept of this value scale, you can work ahead of me if you would like. Okay, so I'm just going to keep working at adding layers onto this 8. How come you're not doing this with me? Okay. All right, I'm going to keep building it up. 8 is still a little too light. Okay, about right there. Okay, I'm going to call it good there. The texture of it's kind of changing a little bit. All right, I'm just going to pause for a little bit to let some of you kind of catch up. Yes, sir. Not during the demonstration. Whenever I'm done, you can go.
Is there a reason why we're doing like back and forth?
It just kind of helps you stay even so then you don't have to adjust. So it's a good question because intuitively you kind of want to start here and go this way. But what happens when you do that and you go in one direction, you end up getting to like these last 3 and they're all the same value because you've like ran out of like these. They have to be darker than these, right? So if you go back and forth, then you can kind of see, okay, I need to be lighter than that one, darker than that one, lighter than that one, darker. And it just kind of helps, keeps you from having to adjust as much. Good question. Okay, I'm going to bounce to number 4. Again, I changed to the light pressure. So eraser back on the back part of my hand here. And I'm going to start with very light pressure in my number 4 box, and then I'm just going to keep building up my layers. Okay, so right about there. I'm also kind of looking out for my squares to be nice, evenly shaded. So if you go out the lines, that's fine, but then I want you to clean them up as you go. And then if you accidentally erase inside your box, I want you to fix it by adding your value back in. Okay, so you guys can kind of see how I'm increasingly getting darker on that side, and I'm gonna start getting lighter coming this way. Okay, so for my 7 box, there's something on my table. It's probably just a piece of an eraser. So in my 7 box, starting off with kind of a light pressure, light to medium. And then I'm going to start building it up here. Now remember, I want it to be lighter than my 8, but it's got to be darker than my 6. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So if I keep going, it'll turn into an 8 value. Okay. Now I'm going to bounce over to the 5. Again, I changed the position on my pencil again. I just want to start with a really light pressure, and I just want to move my pencil back and forth to layer it up to get it darker. So you guys can also see on my square, like if there's something, when you value, when you're shading, and there's something down on the table underneath your paper, do you guys see where it's catching? Those 2 spots? So you got to make sure that your table's clean, which unfortunately for you guys, you're right after ceramics. So sometimes you'll just need to come in and give it an extra wipe down, even though I tell them to clean before they go. Okay, so there we go. We got number 5. Okay, now I'm on my last square, 6. It's going to be a little tough because I'm right in between my 7 and my 5, so I have to get it just right. It's got to be a little darker than 5, but it has to be lighter than 7. Okay, and there shouldn't be any excuse that you guys don't have this done with me. All right, so I'm kind of using lighter pressure. Notice how I'm holding my pencil. And now I'm going to keep adding until I've got some difference here. And I think I got it. There we go. There's my value scale. So, because I have a lot more practice. Okay, if you guys are still working through it, that's fine. Let me talk to you about some things. So, this is the 4th time I've done this today. Just today. Now, when I did this in first hour, I wasn't careful enough in my shades. And so I'm going to show that to you guys right now. Now, do you guys see any difference between 3, 4, and 5? No. 3 does? Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So my problem here, really, 3 looks darker than 4 and 5, and I also, like 3 to 6 are all pretty much the same. So if I were to grade my work right now based on this, I'd definitely miss 3, I'd probably give 4 to you, and then I'd definitely miss 5, and I'd probably give you 6. So if you have values that are too similar, if your 3 and your 4 look the same, or your 3 is darker than your 5, you're going to miss them. They're going to be counted off. So you can always go back and adjust. You can adjust by making your darks darker, and you can adjust by going into your lights and erasing them out and trying them again. So that was my first try of the day. This was my second try. I was pretty successful. That one doesn't look too bad. This one technically was my 3rd try today. We didn't get very far. Okay, and then this is you guys. So my second try, and my fourth try. Let's see. Which one looks better? They're both pretty close. Maybe my second try is a little bit better. Okay, so when I grade this, I want to be able to see that you guys can differentiate between technically 9 different values. Okay, 0, there's nothing in there. That's your freebie. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to get our worksheets out and just get started on this first thing. So tomorrow what we'll be doing is we're going to do this value scale, which is tough. Okay? I'm going to show you the difference between your 2 drawing pencils. And then we're going to look at how we can do the value scale using both types of our pencils. Okay? All right, guys, you go ahead and clean up. If you have a laptop to return, you can put your in this